Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 223 of the Noclip podcast. It's a Crewcast. We're missing Jesse Garasha, though. He is off, I believe, having a wonderful time on vacation. I don't want to say where, but I hope he's... There's so many things I could say right now. They're right there, but it'll literally say exactly where he is, so I won't. I hope he's having a wonderful time. And apologies to all of our listeners and viewers on YouTube for the lackluster production of this podcast that you will enjoy at my hands, because Jesse is not here to do the production either. Hope you're having a great time, Mr. Garasha. Hope you're loving all of those things.
We could
Jeremy,
just make up a fake thing, like he's in Egypt seeing the pyramids. That's fun.
Yes, he's in Atlantis enjoying some of the caviar from the mermaids.
I thought you were going to say Atlanta. I was like, that's such a normal thing if you're going to make up a fake place to go. Oh yeah, he's in like Des Moines. You know, he's just.
I've also just created a world in which mermaids eat their own spawn, and it's sort of like a delicacy. I don't think
Dwarf Fortress.
It is. Yeah, you're right. It is. Exactly. It's 2 Dwarf Fortress. Jeremy Jane, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing excellent. Also, Jesse loaded me up with assets to handle the podcast production, so it may be done poorly.
Oh wait,
at my
are you doing
hands
it
as well?
You're doing it. Oh, yeah. Great. Sorry.
I'm not to say that it'll be any better than if someone else did it other than Jesse.
No, it'll. Look, it might not be. I don't know if it's going to be as good as Jesse's, because he's got the muscle for it, right? He's been throwing that slider for 200 fucking episodes. I don't know, but it's definitely going to be better than me, man. Because in my head, I was like, I produced a podcast today already, so I'm just like, Shift F1 went up. I'm fucking done. I couldn't give a shit.
I was joking with him that if we tested out everything before he left, but if anything went wrong, he was like, just text me on my extremely distant vacation. And I was like, I would never do that. I would rather hand draw the intro, and I would just hum the music that plays in the intro. And I think people would find it hilarious.
They'd love it. And it's hard for him to get cell reception in Antarctica anyway. So
it's a way down under.
It's going to be really difficult, yeah. Frank Kelly, how you doing, my friend? I know you were mere hours away from your wrestling orgasm. That's going to happen over orgy, maybe actually is perhaps more appropriate. You excited? You heading off to LA pretty soon?
Yeah, so I'm tomorrow morning. I'll drive out to Vegas, and it's funny. The first show that's happening on Wednesday, they just like push back by 2 hours. So now I'm in no rush. So I'm very excited. Yeah, like I haven't been able to focus on anything for like a week because it's just like I'm like ready to go. They keep announcing more and more things. So yeah, I'm very excited. And I have so many friends that are gonna be in town too. So I keep like sharing my schedule everywhere. That's like come to this show, come to this show, come to this show. So and then researching restaurants and things off strip that are cheaper. So yeah, I'm very excited.
Like which Cirque du Soleil am I gonna go to? which hotel? Do you know? Are you staying in a hotel? Or you got an Airbnb or
the GCW stuff is all being hosted at the Palms Resort, which is like off strip past the Rio.
Nice.
But I'm happy because it's like I was able to get a nice room cheaper than like all the hyper inflated WrestleMania stuff that's on the strip.
Oh, of course, I forgot. Yeah. The weird thing about Vegas is that if you go when there's nothing in town, you can get like me and my brother got tickets, got like sorry, my Discord notification is going. I'm gonna mute this fucking other computer I have here. Oh no, it wasn't that true. Well, anyway, we got like a suite in the Venetian for like $170. It was like that's less than any hotel in California. You know what I mean? It's like you pay like $300 minimum. I couldn't believe it. But yeah, you're right. WrestleMania, I guess they're gonna kill you, right?
Yeah. Like that's also a big reason why I was just driving out. It's like I was looking at normally like flights to Vegas are so cheap, but like everything this weekend was so much, and then Uber fees will be crazy. So like I'm just gonna drive and make it very easy. But yeah, like half the shows are just gonna be in my hotel, so I can just like go downstairs and roll out. And then,
I mean, I think me and Jeremy probably respect the drive. Like that's an iconic drive.
That's the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas drive.
Right? You're going through backcountry. You're gonna be. Yeah. I've done that. You know, when you go up, you don't get to go up to Tehachapi though. I don't think. Right? You'll go like just north of Joshua Tree or all that sort of stuff. Right? They don't go up because you don't cross over by Big Bear. Right? Jeremy, you like Tehachapi, right? I
love Tehachapi. It's the land of 4 seasons. They say.
Oh, is that? Yeah, you're right. Because there is snow up there. They get like a bunch of. Is
That's
there
what the
Four
sign
Seasons up
says.
there as well? It doesn't
I don't
really.
know. That's what the sign. It says the land of four seasons. I feel like Tehachapi is probably a Native American word that means
Must
the land
be.
of four seasons, but I also may just be making that.
Or
up.
it means like this is where we cut the white man's head off or something.
It means if you build a house here, it will burn to the ground.
It's like a road that goes like straight up for like, because it's all high desert, all Vegas is. So the road just brings you from like Bakersfield in the California Central Valley, and it just goes up, 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 up. I love it. It's like Martian or something. It's such a weird, like in Europe, I'd never see a road like that where you'd have mountains where you go up mountains, but it's like all switchbacky. But like this whole high, I'd never experienced a road like that. Like you're ascending like 2,500 feet, but it's like straight.
It feels like it feels like a roller coaster tycoon like custom track that someone built, and they had enough room that they were like, I'll just fucking send it straight up for like a mile.
Yeah, exactly. And all the cars are like concepts like overheating your engine because you're just going uphill for an hour. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, when I used to have the RV, it was scary going down the other side because it's such a heavy vehicle, and it was basically like a tiny little Toyota pickup truck with a house on the back. So someone would stop a little short, and I'd be like fucking slamming the brakes. Yeah, I saw one of the worst accidents of my life there too. So it's
really?
Like, in my mind, I've never had any trouble there, but in my mind, it's like this fucking charged. It's Tehachapi, the land of four deaths. You die 4 deaths going through there.
It was also maybe the first place I saw another very American concept to me, which is the like slip road for when a truck's brakes fail.
Oh yeah, the what the fuck do they call it?
There's a name for them, right?
Runaway road. That's not it. It's something like that.
It's like a road that goes all like on a hill. You're going downhill, and then it'll just be a random straight piece of road that sort of goes up to try and like take the speed off, and it usually has like gravel and shit as well to basically stop runaway trucks whose brakes fail. And it's all trucks, like all these, half the cars on these roads are trucks because they're trying to get across the country and stuff. But yeah, it's a good drive, man. You get, you see Barstow, what was that place, Jeremy, when we were in the Mojave? What's that place south of the Mojave? Was it Baghdad? What's it called?
Yeah, there's Baghdad.
Baghdad, California.
There's also Needles out there. There's a lot of like ominous town names.
It's like a fucking World of Warcraft place.
It's the fucking bear.
Thousand Needles,
yeah.
Do you remember
that's gotta be named after that.
Wasn't there that weird gas station as well that had, because there's all that Route 66 stuff out there. There was some weird gas station we went to, I think, before.
Yeah, it had like a dinosaur or something.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, exactly. All that. I love that. I mean, you loved that stuff way before I did. I remember you were talking about going out to the desert for years before I did it. But I think that breed, it's like the Fallout New Vegas vibe of just like, who the fuck lives here? Like, why are you in Baghdad, California? The town with the world's most depressing subway. Like, just like stuck to the side of a gas station. Like, I love it, man. So yeah, respect, Frank. The flight, that's a coward's flight, because that's like, it's like a 40-minute flight, is it, from LAX or something? Or less?
Like the whole process of like trying to park and get to the airport or whatever is so much, and go through security is so much longer than the flight itself.
Yeah.
So,
It's a nightmare. And then you get out of that, LA terminal is, I find the LA or the Vegas terminal very funny, because you get out of the plane and there's immediately slot machines just right there at the gate. It's very cool. But are you driving on your own? You going with some friends?
Yeah, no, just going on my own, and then probably meeting up with different friends. Like I have one friend who's going to be filming at least three shows a day, which I don't even know if I'll get a chance to hang out with him, because it's just like he has to shoot all these shows. I have a friend who's funny enough in town for like a family wedding and not for wrestling, and it was just like, oh, okay, sure. So, but I'll see if I can drag them to a wrestling show. So yeah, but no, yeah, meeting up with many friends, and then all other wrestlers are doing meet and greets. At the last minute, GCW announced they're hosting like an after party at a club, and one of the WCW wrestlers I've been watching, Juventud Guerrera, is going to be DJing. Apparently, he's a DJ now.
Wow!
And so he goes by DJ Juice. So I gotta see a luchador DJ. Which
because of all the steroids.
I don't know. Back in the '90s, he had on his trunks, Hoovy Juice was written on his trunks. But now he goes by DJ Juice. But he was fired from WCW for ingesting PCP and attacking police officers. So
maybe that's why he's called DJ Juice.
Yeah. So I got to see DJ Juice in person. So I'm very excited.
Damn, if he offers you any like anything that's smokable or anything, and it like tastes a little funny, I would abstain.
Is PCP? I never knew what PCP was. Is that a smoking one?
Well, the you can lace a joint or a cigarette with PCP.
Okay.
As in, what is that? Is that in Training Day where he's like,
oh yeah,
I didn't know you like to get wet, and he's like hitting the cigarette. It has PCP in it. I haven't seen that movie in like 25 years.
King Kong ain't got nothing on him.
Yeah, exactly.
They got that one scene where the guys try to shoot his head off in the bathroom. That's a good time.
Am I thinking of the Chappelle Show skit that's making fun of Training Day, or am I thinking of Training Day?
You tell me.
I don't know. I'm asking the question. You, our listener, in the comments below, tell us what you remember PCP from.
Did Rick James stomp on a couch during the scene?
Wasn't it like it was a Training Day parody, but it was Wayne Brady was the Denzel role.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
It was a very long time ago. I don't.
I smoked something in Russia one time. I think I told you. Remember I told you that story? Because every time somebody brings up a drug, I'm like, maybe that's what it was. Because it was definitely. Like I won't tell this story on here, but you've heard that story. It was definitely the most bad decision I ever made, and like I have never experienced that type of high that quick. Like I immediately knew that I had something synthetic had infected my consciousness, and I was going to be in trouble for the next 24 hours.
It might have been. Did you? Let me diagnose this in one question.
Okay.
Did you feel like very high and scared and weird, or did you feel like dissociated, like you were like out of body and losing your fucking sense of self?
Oh boy, kind of the latter.
Oh,
like,
interesting.
I remember like immediately realizing that this was not weed.
Which is such a bad feeling.
It is.
Anytime you take a drug is already like, okay, we're going to do this. And then as soon as it's like, this is not what I was expecting. It's like it's like when the roller coaster restraints don't come down.
Exactly.
And you're like, oh no, this isn't right.
Shit. And then I'm immediately thinking, I have to fly through the Russian airport tomorrow, that I remember on the way out had like 1,000,001 different sniffer dogs and all this stuff. I immediately thought, oh no, I need to get to my room really quick. And then I like stayed for a minute so I wasn't super weird. And then, because I didn't want to upset
enjoy it and then leave immediately.
I didn't want to look weak in front of these random Russian people I've never met before. This was like just a classic case of Danny finding random friends on a trip, but maybe not the right people this time around. Although they were very generous, so who am I to say? I'm the one at fault here. But I remember walking back to the like elevator and feeling like my vision, like I was going into third person, but I couldn't see myself. But I felt like I was like going back and being like, oh Jesus, I need to get to a room and have like water or something before my consciousness like goes into space. Like I get sucked out of Moscow and into the stratosphere.
Jesus.
And it wasn't that bad a high. I'll say like it was definitely like it was a lot, and I've never experienced anything since. So that's why I'm so fascinated by what the fuck I did. But it didn't feel like overly. I don't think it was heroin or anything. Like it didn't feel like that either, But it was definitely like the type of thing that would have been better if I was at home and not in a random Moscow hotel where I didn't really know anyone.
It could have been PCP. It could have been like a synthetic cathinone, or it could have been like a synthetic cannabinoid, like spice, like the stuff you used to get at gas stations.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, who knows?
Spice. I remember there was that old Russian drug. What was it called? Like crocodile.
Crocodile?
Yeah, do you remember that one?
Yeah, of
Where
course.
it was making people's skin all flaky or shit. It sounded like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It was like Fallout Ghoul was what I kept thinking when they were talking about it in the news.
Yeah. So I don't know. In my head canon, I had crocodile. It turned into a little alligator boy for the night. Shout out to all of our incredible alligator boy men, women, and people, our battle pass holders, including a new one. Welcome to Yacht. And also welcome to all of our old ones. Dwayne the Rock Lobster, Anthony Thomas, Nico Passeteri, It's a me, Ferrario, Penelope Hayes, Senator Armstrong, Harry Flanagan, Juice, Arno, Jose R., Matt Pearson, James Brown, Mark Rojas, Tucker Morgan, David McGarry, Sven Huster, Pez, John Akers, Hewitt Nate, Tim Robinson, Forrest Pruitt, Jonathan Kremen, Eric Hamilton Schneider, Christophe Fatui, Hammerlard, Zachary Snader, Alex Goucher, George Sakotis, Jacob Godserve, Entheogen, James Med, Tohir Tiliev, and Ryson. Thank you all so much for supporting us on the Good Shop Noclip. We're really happy to have you. And also thank you to our extra, I think over the course of the Dwarf Fortress project, we have gotten several hundred extra patrons. It was the most patrons we have ever had, sort of organically, without just doing like a video saying, please support us, we're going out of business. We do it like every couple of years. And putting them out in the series format. I mean, we've done that before, but I think we just like having the next episode already up on early access so people could go check out, I think was really interesting to people, and they seemed happy to jump on. So massive thank you to anyone who signed up for the past month or so to check out that stuff. We hope you stick around. We hope you enjoy being a patron and support our work. We have bunches of other stuff coming out, including the stuff I filmed in Sweden this past week, which I'm sure we won't talk about directly, but we'll be able to talk about at some stage. We got some games to talk about today. Schedule 1 or Schedule 1. How do you guys pronounce that? Say schedule.
Schedule 1?
Schedule. Like with a
schedule.
K.
Okay,
Yeah.
schedule. Yeah, sure. Blueprints. And I want to talk about the marathon stuff a little bit that went out during the week. So let's jump into those. Jeremy, do you want to go first? Do you want to talk about Blueprints?
Yes, I'd love to. Blueprints. It's a play on words. Blueprints, like
It is.
like an architect has, and the name of the game is actually Blueprints, like a prince, like the son of a king. Which is a setup for the narrative of this game. You're you stand to inherit the fortune and property of your late father who's passed away.
I think it's uncle. Is
it uncle?
I think it's
clearly
uncle. Yeah.
wasn't paying close enough attention. I assumed. I think the title got into my head when I heard Prince. I was like, it must be his father.
It's not Blue Duke or something.
It's not Blue Nephew. So you basically stand to gain this huge inheritance, but in order to do so, you have to go to your late uncle's house and sort of make your way through this mysterious, self-rearranging house that has 45 rooms, and you must enter the 46th room, much like the Wu-Tang Clan entering the 46th chamber. So it sort of plays like a hybrid between a first-person Myst-like sort of mystery game where you're going around collecting documents and clues and items and resources. But the other half of the game that is sort of the more novel aspect of it is that every time you exit a room, you are choosing which room is the next room in sequence. And the game sort of works like a roguelike, where every time you start anew, the house completely wipes clean, your inventory wipes clean, and so you are building the path through the mansion. And it's really interesting. It's a hybridization that I would not have expected or asked for, but I think it's very novel.
It's almost like somebody just got a bunch of dice with genres on it, and then they ended up on like this, like first person puzzle roguelike game. To your point, it's, you're sort of walking. I've not played all. I played maybe 2. No, I've not even done that much. Maybe I think I've done 3 or 4 runs. And you're sort of going up to a door, and then you're hitting a button, and it's saying like, oh, do you want to have a hallway or a boudoir or a bedroom, and it gives you a choice of 3 that you pick, and you can there is an overworld map which kind of lets you know where you want to get on the house blueprints. Where you want the next door to face in the next room. And it kind of, when you're selecting the next room, it kind of gives you an idea of like, oh, this is a hallway, so you will get like, you can keep going. Or it's like, if you get like a spare bedroom, it might just be the end, or a bathroom, it just might be the end of that sort of run. So you're plotting that way as well. And then what about the items? Because I've not gotten that many items. I got like one item which was basically a sort of, I could re-roll the rooms I got. And I picked up a shovel at one stage, but I don't think I've used it yet. What have you experienced with like the objects? Because again, they all reset every run as well.
Yeah. There's like a metal detector that increases your chance of finding. I think it was coins and gems, or keys and coins, maybe. Gems are not metal, so that wouldn't really make sense. It's stuff like that. It's kind of like if you transpose the formula of a roguelike where you're playing Binding of Isaac, and it's like now your projectile shoots 2 projectiles. Transpose that onto Myst, and anything that you would imagine is the kind of things I've found so far. I've also only played like a couple hours of it, and just sort of like dip my toes into it. I feel like it is one of those games that will continue to sort of like expand. Like I feel like I still am waiting for the game to kind of like do a wink and a nod thing. So far, it's kind of what I expect. And I don't know. I keep getting the feeling that the game is going to open up in some way.
Yeah, because you can walk outside the house as well, and there's some other little areas, and it's got that air of mystery, like sort of outer worlds. Fuck. It's been like 6 years, Danny. Come on. You know what I mean? Like it's very implied storytelling. Like I assume there are things about the rooms and stuff that I am not picking up on yet, or something like that. And people have been talking on social media about how much they've enjoyed it, and it's kind of one of those games I think as well you need to have a pen and paper. I think they explicitly tell you, actually.
They do. Yeah, there's a note in one of the early rooms that's like, hey, by the way, you should get out an actual physical journal and start writing this shit down, which at that point I already had, so I felt validated.
Nice. I'm enjoying it. I'm like you. I'm not played it all that much, so I need to jump in a little bit more.
Yeah, it's so far I really like it. I don't know if I love it yet. I feel like I'm waiting to see kind of like. So far, it feels like it's doing something very novel and interesting, and I'm waiting for the moment of synthesis where I feel like it'll either come or not. Like 5 to 8 hours in, there will be a moment where I see the brilliance of this marriage of things, because I think that genre hybrid runs the risk of, like so far, even in the first 2 hours, I've gone through the same room a lot of times, and like you'll find new items, but like it seems rare that you'll find new documents and stuff like that. And so it was sort of the trajectory of the genre feel of this game. Very early on, it was sort of like spooky mansion, finding documents and putting together clues, and it's slowly transitioning into metagaming about the placement of rooms, and like learning the rules and stuff. Like I won't say any of the rules, but it'll be the kind of thing where like placing a room in such a way makes it more likely to be this way or have this item or things like that. So yeah, it's cool. I hope that it has sort of like a spectacular moment. I've heard people say that their first several runs, they were like, it was cool, and then something happened that kind of blew their mind. So
cool.
So yeah, just to plant the seed that like we've both played a couple hours, and there may be, I mean, not that we would talk about it if there was some insane reveal or something, but yeah, I'm excited to see what else this game has in store.
Yeah, ditto. Looks nice too. Very slick art style, kind of cel shady. And on Game Pass. So, Frank Howley, no excuse. Why haven't you fucking played it yet, Frank? It's on Game Pass.
When I hear puzzle games, I'm just like, oh God, yeah.
Isn't Tony Hawk a puzzle game? You just have to solve the puzzle of doing a sick flip.
Yeah, but it's like skateboards. I don't know. It also, with being randomly generated, means if I get stuck, I can't look up a walkthrough. It's like, so it was like, oh man. But I will say my friend who loves puzzle games is like already like obsessed with it and says it's phenomenal. So if you like these kinds of games, apparently this one's really good. I know
Jesse would have had this fucking completed by now. Probably.
I feel like he already has. This is such a Jesse game. He's the puzzle master.
I wonder if it works on Steam Deck. Although I've been playing it on Xbox because of Game Pass, so. Womp womp. Got to get that Microsoft handheld out, jerks. I don't know why I'm being so aggressive towards Microsoft. Sorry, Frank. Maybe it's just a fair and balanced thing because you're so in love with them. I need to sort of be on the other side. That is Blueprints. Yeah, maybe we'll have played a little bit more by next week. We'll have to see. A game that I think both of you will definitely love is Schedule 1 or Schedule 1. What do you guys know about this?
It's like a drug sim on Steam, but apparently very, very popular. I think like an insane amount of reviews and people have played it.
119,000 overwhelmingly positive is the current situation. Whoever made this can retire for the rest of their lives. They no longer have to sell drugs. The drug of video games. I knew about this, but I didn't know anything about it until I was drinking in a bar. I was in Sweden last week. I was drinking in a bar. I was watching the Arsenal game. Turns out Sweden's like massive amount of Arsenal fans. I went to an Irish bar because it was the only one showing the game that I could find. I was very I went to an Irish bar which I think is a chained Irish bar, and it was also like had a lot of Boston stuff in it, Jeremy. So it was kind of like a weird.
What was the Boston stuff?
Just like Bruins stuff.
Oh,
and,
okay, right.
you know, just like there's also a chain a Texan barbecue place called Longhorns. Which I went. One of the PR for the game we were there for is from Austin, so she was like, "What the fuck?" Like that's like the local college team. But yeah, they had this. Was it O'Leary's? I don't know what it's called, but it was an Irish chain. I don't tend to go to. I'm more sophisticated. I don't go to foreign countries and go to Irish bars. Bullshit, Danny. But I was in there, I had a great time, and then I just met some locals, and one of them, she was like a head chef in a local restaurant, and her husband was like not out that night because he was playing Schedule 1, and he was like, wait, and she was like telling me all about it and stuff, and I was like, okay, I gotta play this fucking game. This game is great. This game is exactly what you think it is. Well, I initially thought that it was like a multiplayer thing, right? It looks like it's a multiplayer game, and a lot of these games are coming out, these like Gen Z ass fucking games are coming out, are a lot of like, you know, co-op stuff. We've talked about them over the years, and it has a similar art style kind of to one of those. But I've been playing it single player, and it totally works as a single player game. I think you can play it with other people, I'm pretty sure, but I've not needed it at all. It's kind of just exactly what you'd think. It's a first person like game of drug wars. You remember Drug Wars, or you like buying drugs and selling drugs? Those all like flash games or like little downloadable games you play. In it, there's a very good sort of setup level that teaches you everything, and then it goes into a big city. It starts off and you're in this like small like sort of high desert Arizona town. You live in an RV. You are growing weed in it, and then you are selling it to people that are local. And so what the actual process of playing the game is it's very sort of systemic and physicsy, weirdly. So, you know, let's start from the start. So you got to plant some weed, right? You got a seed. You got to buy some dirt at the hardware store. You got to put the dirt in the pot. You got to plant the seed. You got to water it. You can stick, you know, fertilizer on it so it'll grow faster, or like something so it'll grow more, but the quality of the weed won't be as good. Then you have to like snip the weed off the trees, and all of these are done in these quick little sort of like it sucks into it mini game. It's not done like simulation gamey where you like hold the thing out and you know chop them off. It's more like you click on it. It's very satisfying. It's almost, I don't know what there's probably a word for this in like interface design or whatever, but it like snaps to it, then you click on the things, and then you go back, and then you go to like your packing station or whatever, and then you have to buy like little baggies, and then you have to pick up each bud, put it in the baggie, like seal it and throw it in the thing. Like you're packing individual baggies of all this stuff. And then once you've done that, you can go out into the world, and you can just like fucking cold sell to people. You can just walk up to people and sell them some weed. You can give them free samples to try and make them customers. People text you and they're like, yo, I want to buy like fucking 3 times OG Kush. I'll give you $110. And then you go back, fuck you, I want $140. And then they go, sure, when? And then you get to pick like a time on the clock, like morning, afternoon, evening, nighttime. You click it and they're like, I'll meet you behind the pizza place at like, you know, between these 5 hours. And then you have that on your list of things. You know, you can, if you're working that night planting some stuff, you can say, I'll get you in the morning. And then you go meet them and they give you the cash. You know, your grower who sells you the seeds has drop boxes all around town, and you're paying him, and then you're like dropping money off in his drop box. You're going back to the hardware store. So it's just like this, you know, and in drug war style, you're building up like you start off with one plant, and then You buy a place and you can fit more growers in there. And then as your reputation increases, you get access to dealers that you can then employ, and they'll take 20%, and you have to give them customers and keep giving them product. And then you can automate some stuff as well. So then, by the end, you're selling, I don't know, fucking mega crack or something, So it just keeps going and going and going. But the vibe of it is very like funny and light, and there's, it's it kind of reminds me a bit of like the South Park game or something. It's very cartoony and silly, and I like the vibe of it a lot, and the numbers go upness of this game is very strong. Like it's got that cookie clicker feel of I am getting better all the time. Like I have like $5,000 now. I'm able to do loads. I can buy all this shit. I can buy loads of drugs. I can grow 5 at the same time. It's a good time. So my empire is slowly growing, gentlemen.
I think the art style is a big part of the reason, like not just the art style, but tonally, the approach of this game being sort of, it takes itself seriously. Like I've seen a bit of gameplay. It's like there is a narrative beat early on, and it's not like goofy madcap. Like it plays it pretty straight. But the art style being sort of like late night Adult Swim cartoon,
yes,
or like South Park or something like that. I think it strikes a balance, because there have been I think there's a game called Drug Dealer Sim. There have been like other drug dealer simulation games.
Oh, right, yeah.
And they're very sort of, like a one-to-one simulated, like realistic human model, and like kind of, I don't know what that style of game is called. Like very dry, just sort of like straightforward, exactly what you expect.
Yeah.
Looks realistic. This is taking sort of more of like a fun, cartoony approach to that, while also being kind of serious about the drug thing. But then like the effects of different weed, or like your physical appearance changes and stuff. So it's clearly like, I don't know. It strikes that balance between serious and cartoonish very well, I think. Yeah,
totally. It does a lot of you can tell when people are stoners because their eyes are all fucking glazed over and stuff. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. Yeah, like, and the physics, like, it's playful. Like, the one thing that's very funny is that when you are packing stuff, or like, chopping the trees or whatever, like the dirt and detritus ends up being in your house, right? So like there's a bunch of bags from the compost, or a bunch of, little vials that you get the seeds in. And you just toss those on the ground when you're doing it. So they're just lying around. And if you don't clean any of these up, it starts to look like your buddy who sells drugs' house, where there's just like shit everywhere. But to clean them up, you have to pick them up and put them in your trash can. But the trash can gets full. So then you have to buy trash bags to empty your trash can, to then throw the trash bags away. And it's purely aesthetic. Like there's no reason for that to be in the game. It doesn't actually do anything. It's just that you don't have shit all over your house. But it's like a way in which the game like leans into the sort of imsiminess or whatever of it, where there are all these systems that you're playing with. Another one is if you want some extra cash, you can just pick up trash. There's like these sort of trash collecting machines that if you put trash in them, it'll like spit money out to you. So if you're short some money, especially at the start, you can just pick up a bunch of trash, put it in there, and then get some cash out. And then eventually in the hardware store, you buy like a little like trash picker upper thing, so that when you're around town, you can just fill up your little trash picker upper. And if you see one of those boxes, you can put them in. But the act of putting it in is physics based. So if you're picking up like a trash thing, you press a button and it opens it up like a little open trash can, I guess. You can just be really far away and throw it and try and get it in, or you can walk over and you are dropping it and it's going in. And so when you're doing it with the big thing that collects all the trash, you hold the button and he tips it over and all the trash is falling in, but like it might fall out and fall over to the side. And it's that type of thing. It's not just like a simulation thing where you go up and press the button. It's like all of these little distinct interactions have some sort of playfulness in them because of the physics, or because of, you trying to get more money out of somebody on a text and they're like, fine, I'll pay for that, And then like you can sell them bad weed as well. You can like, if you have customers that are cheap, you can give them bad weed. Or if you have customers you really want, like I needed to befriend a couple of people who were friends with a dealer so I could get them to join my team. So I gave them the really good stuff. You know what I mean? Like, so there's all this very fun playfulness. The cops, the way they do cops are great as well, because there's just cops all around the place, and they'll like come up and search you, and if you have any stuff on you, you'll get in trouble. And then at nighttime, you want to do some sales. Like sometimes somebody will like go, yo, I want like 8, like 8 of OG Kush or Acid Rank or whatever. And then you're like, okay, well, let's do it now. And it's like the middle of the night, but there's a curfew in this town and the cops are walking around with like flashlights. And when they see you, it's like, oh shit, you got to run. Arrest comes up and you have to like fucking hide in a bush somewhere. It's like, it's good fun. It's very silly. But yeah, the vibe of it is super fun. It's very lo-fi, but it feels good. The like driving model in the game when you have your like car driving around is like something straight out of a fucking Unity demo, but like you don't care. It's just like whatever. This is fun. This is silly.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it hits upon something we've talked about a lot with these types of games, which is just, it's interesting that it works so well as a single player game, because in my mind, this is very much a game where you're like, it's a space to hang out with friends, and it just has a sufficiently interesting sort of set of systems and simulations and activities to do while you're like in this place. But that's cool that it functions essentially as like 3D Drug Wars.
Yeah, because you could easily have somebody at home like who's the cook, and then you could be out, dealing, and you definitely make a lot more money there. Yeah, it's good stuff. I was just looking at the Steam page here. It's a single player online co-op, Steam Cloud, all these things, and then hilariously family sharing is underneath it. So you can.
It's a family business.
You can play, you can smoke some weed, manufacture stuff. You can make different strains. There's clearly a lot going on in this game. It is an early access game. I suspect it's going to be around for a long time. There's also a demo available, so you can check that out if you want. But yeah, 119,000 reviews. This game has been out for a month or not even 3 weeks. That's crazy. Jesus. That's like over 1 million sold easily. So.
Have you managed to reverse engineer the weird Russian weed that you smoked yet in the game?
That's what I should do.
Yeah.
Make some of that crocodile.
some of that Russian special.
Give them some Sunday scaries, you know what I mean? Make them freak out the locals. All right, that's schedule 1. Did you guys see the marathon stuff?
A little bit. Yeah, I saw the whole gameplay trailer and a little bit of the short they did, which seemed very cool.
The fucking short is great. So Marathon's coming out. Marathon, classic game no one's played unless you owned a Mac in the 90s and you were real stringent about thinking that your first-person game was better than all the ones coming out on PC because you were a psychopath. You bought really expensive Mac. You could play Marathon Durandar, whatever the fuck it was called. Weird sci-fi FPS games. They had some weird stuff going on. They had their own engine, obviously, because they were away from all the id stuff. But largely sort of just like a bit of an oddity in the world of 90s shooters. They're doing basically using the IP and doing something totally new. They're making, this is Bungie, of course. This was an original Bungie game, should be mentioned. It's kind of important. That's why Marathon is kind of relevant at all, is because it was an old Bungie game, and Halo obviously came out of that, as Bungie made lots of games back in the day, like Oni and stuff like that. Yeah, Marathon, they're doing a reboot of it and they're doing an extraction shooter, and this was kind of their big weekend of getting all the stuff out there. So they put out a gameplay overview. They put out a small gameplay trailer. It's about 2 minutes long. And they put out this very strange creator alpha gameplay thing where they just had like Dr. Lupo and a bunch of other people who were, presumably paid to be there. I don't know. Maybe not. But like just their gameplay of them, playing the game, like not quite a whole Twitch stream, but like a 20-minute long, like here's a bunch of people playing this video game and talking super seriously, which is like the thing I hate the most in the world, I think, is people playing these games and being like, okay, we're going to go blah, 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 blah. It's like they're fucking video games, dudes. Chill the fuck out.
It's like the E3 reveal where they're playing like The Division, and normally people are just like, I gotta go in a minute, like my mom is making dinner. But in the demo, they're like, I got a guy, he's on my 6.
Or just like the esportsification of every shooter. Like, can we not just have fun? Like, fuck off. Not everyone has to be. Like, I get that that's like part of the thing about being a professional streamer is that you're good at the game. Yeah. But like, who cares if you're... I've never cared ever. Like, that used to be a joke. Like, oh my God, Thresh is so good at Quake 3. Like, that's going to pay the bills. I guess the fact that now it does pay the bills, we have to take these people seriously, but like, who fucking cares? You know? I don't know. Whatever. It's weird. Maybe that's just me. I just find all that stuff, creator culture, streamer stuff to be, unless they're funny, I don't care. Like, I just find it to be absolutely incredibly lame. So I don't know. I feel like there's like a one generational slice that think it's cool, and everyone before and after will think it is the lamest shit in the world. But I also think that's sort of Gen Z's cross to bear culturally, is that everyone else thinks they suck. So I don't know. Sorry if you're Gen Z. I don't think you suck. Maybe you suck a little bit. I don't know. We all suck a little bit. You know what doesn't suck though is that cinematic reveal. It's a 9-minute long video. It's directed by Alberto Mieglo, who is sort of he's done some Love, Death and Robots stuff. He I think is like credited as the original animator who figured out the look for Enter the Spider-Verse. And you can see a lot of that weird frame rate fuckery going on in this one. I absolutely adore the cinematic reveal. Like, it's so good. And I think it also creates a problem because the game is not that. There's like this tonal dissonance between this thoughtful sort of miniature, I guess like a short story of sorts. It's not even. It's sort of like a tone piece about these, you know, human consciousness inside of these robotic bodies and what that means, and who do they remember who they were, and the sort of weird, I don't know, fractal world that the way in which the world is shown in the cinematic reveal is very, like, it's so vivid and detailed and has all these, like, it's not how our eyes perceive reality. But to me, it was like, oh, this is how they perceive this planet, probably. These, like, robot versions of these humans. And the way in which, like, it's, like, weirdly childlike and intimate and interesting. And I watched it first and was like, oh, this is cool. Because the original announcement trailer they did, like, a year ago had a scene, had that Justice song. And it was like, oh, they're doing something cool here. But unfortunately, like, the game they're making, like, I don't fuck with Destiny. I don't, like, I just, these games aren't for me. I appreciate that they're popular and all that. But then when you watch the overview of the gameplay, it's a shooter game. You know what I mean? Like, it's not any of those things. It's not, of course it's not. It's not this beautiful, slowly paced, intimate, you know, fucking thought about the human experience. It's like, get the shit. The gunplay is good. You know what I mean? So in a way, I think in a way that cinematic short might come back to bite them in the arse a little bit, and sort of the vibe of the game in a way. I think the art style and everything is so strong that I think the gameplay, if it just feels too familiar, is going to disappoint people, perhaps. And I'm starting to see that already in some of the comments about it. And I think Bungie just have a hard time. They're like Bethesda. There's some studios that people are really happy to jump on them. You know what I mean? And I think with all the layoffs that happened as well during the course of this project, there's not a lot of goodwill here. And obviously there's a certain amount of toxicity in the Destiny community as well, you know. So I don't know. I think it's tricky. Yeah, this whole thing, how it's going to go. What do you guys make of it?
It feels very safe. I think you're spot on that, like, the cinematic reveal and some of the concept art and stuff set the bar so high because it looks, I mean, the art for this game is so striking and interesting and
it is
unique. And I think that is sort of the most excited I got about this game, is just like one piece of concept art of like a big chunky blocky dude and sort of like a weird android face lady taking cover. And then the gameplay reveal kind of just looks like, like Apex Legends with a different coat of paint on it. It seems very safe and very familiar. And I think, it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't, because it's, there's a lot riding on surviving an IP that they're trying to like breathe life or prestige back into. It's like the next big game from Bungie. Like the stakes are so high. So then it's a weird double bind where it's like, do you go completely bizarre with the game design of it and risk alienating everyone who, because like Destiny is like, Destiny did a lot of things right, but ultimately it is very comfort food in its design.
It is 100%.
It's dungeon crawling.
Yeah.
It's like Halo type shooting with your friends, and that's what makes it work. But
it's why I never found it interesting. Just because on a baseline gameplay level, it is not. It's about mastery. It's about like getting really good and using the guns really good and having strategy. But the like moment to moment, I just find to be so disinteresting to me. Like I'm not making decisions in that game. I'm just doing the thing, and that's fine. Some people really like that. Like I get it.
It does feel like this. It feels like Marathon is a little late to the party on this. I feel like this is a genre that's been beaten to death to the extent that now I feel like we're starting to see people try to figure out like what the next big thing in FPS is, and I feel like, because no one has really solved for that. Like PUBG and Fortnite was this sort of wave of, small teams in this big open map. It like started a whole revolution where FPS became about that really. And no one has sort of figured out what's around the corner for FPS. So they're like, fuck it. We'll just keep doing that. And there's just so many games like this now. And I've played so many of them that unless this really, really like reinvented the wheel on what a game like that plays like, then I'm not sure how it would get me interested. And there have been games that have done things like that where, games that are PvP, VE and stuff like that, where it is like a PUBG, but then there's camps or whatever. Or like Rust. Rust is a great example where it's sort of made like instead of a match lasting a week, it's like 2 or 3 weeks for a server wipe or whatever. There has been innovation within that genre space, but it's like, it doesn't seem like this is doing anything particularly revolutionary.
I worry in particular, and I don't know, I don't want to, sort of put the cart before the horse here, but one of the things that I don't know how the progression works in this, but I do feel like in particular extraction shooters are for a very particular type of gaming sicko that like I respect. Like I respect the hustle. When I hear my friends who play like Hunt Showdown or play Tarkov or something, I'm like, yeah, well, fucking good for you. Like you can do that. I feel, horrible when I lose. Like PUBG, I can just about take, right? Because it's like, oh, it's just round by round, whatever. It's a Counter-Strike. I don't care if I get killed and lose my gun, but like the pressure of trying to retain and then the sunk cost fallacy and all this sort of stuff, I feel like fair enough. But I don't like. I think what they're trying to do is break the mainstream with that, and maybe you can. Maybe there's a way of doing it, but to me, it's just there's so much tension involved there that I don't know. Like, do you guys play extraction shooters at all? Like, what's the thing that stops you from playing them?
I don't.
Frank,
like,
you hate competitive games.
I don't
right?
like competitive games. I just want
right.
to chill out with friends and joke around and talk about wrestling and anime. Like I don't want to be like, all right, I don't like getting mad when I play a video game. And so like competitive games, as soon as I heard extraction shooter PvP, it lost me. I loved Destiny because it was PvE. It was great. We're shooting AI robots, awesome. But there's no like single player like camp. Like you're talking about the cinematic trailer. It's like, oh, that would be such a cool story to play. But it's like, oh, this isn't. It's just multiplayer stuff. Like. But even then, it's multiplayer stuff designed to make you angry, so you want to keep playing. I don't know. I don't like, but it sucks because, the art style is so cool. Like, imagine if you got, like, a Titanfall 2 type game with this art style. It's like, oh, my God. So I don't know if they have to pivot, and then, I don't know.
I don't think you can pivot to make a single-player game.
I know.
It's a lot.
But yeah. But they lost me with PvP.
I think they have some element of PvE stuff in here. The trailer at least showed, or the cinematic one showed that there were some robots in it as well that looked like they were AI or something. But like, after the term AI is so fucking burned now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
computer controlled.
In the gameplay trailer, it was like they showed like robots that they were pecking off for like 5 XP each, and it's like, okay, that's cool. Right. And then showed an enemy squad chasing you down. It's like, no, I don't want to play with these guys. Let me just.
Yeah, exactly. So there's other folks making these types of games too. I don't know. I'm with you, Jeremy. Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting problem to solve, and especially because Bungie are in a situation now, and kind of all of these big game publishers are, where their usefulness to their corporate ownership is based on them making the next big thing. It's not based on them making something that does Tarkov numbers. Even I mean Tarkov. It's hard. I think it's hard to tell how many numbers because they have their own launcher. They don't run it on Steam or anything. I think technically they might be able to do it through Epic. I'm not sure, but it's hard to tell. But yeah, I worry that, as you said, the stakes are so high on this one that it might be just an insurmountable ask for them to get that amount of people. And I just think there's a lot of saturation. Like a game like the Finals that I absolutely adore and I think does some really incredible stuff. Like the physics in that game is an absolute fucking dream. Like that's what people have been asking for forever. And they just launched their 6th or 7th season. But I don't know how that's doing either. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like there's a lot of these games and there's, maybe not the same many people are playing them as during COVID,
Yeah, the Finals was so good and so polished, and I played maybe like 20, 30 hours with friends, but it didn't have the staying power for me, and I think it's, to your point, I think it's just like, it's a hyper-saturated genre, and even, like I was saying that, PUBG and Fortnite ushered in this like new Battle Royale era, and we're waiting for sort of the next turning of the page. I feel like extraction shooters was sort of like, they tightened the bolt or whatever, but it's like, ultimately it's a subgenre of those Battle Royale games. It is interesting though, like, I personally don't like extraction shooters, but I think the thing that they do that is interesting is they tap into the same thing as the reason that hardcore World of Warcraft has become a thing. It's like giving like very harsh stakes to a familiar genre is something that I feel like is becoming more palatable to a wider audience, which I think is like a fascinating game design approach, because I think if you told people, I remember like hardcore Diablo 2, I remember back in the day, I was like, I would never do that. And that's just fucking Diablo 2, like a game that I could play blindfolded. And then the idea of hardcore World of Warcraft, this character that you've put, like hundreds of hours into, I think would have been unthinkable to a lot of people, 20 years ago, when WoW was first coming around. And it's interesting to me how, streamers have had a big part in it. Like the fact that it's very fun to watch because that you're all just waiting for it's like people who watch NASCAR because they're like, there might be a fucking crash this time. Like, even if that's not the reason you watch it, it's like in the back of your mind that it's like, that'd be fucked up, but wouldn't it be crazy? And I think, having stakes to games is a really interesting way to sort of breathe new life into them. But I just feel like, we've kind of like seen that extraction shooters are fucking huge. Hunt, the Showdown, and Tarkov, to your point, are just like it's fucking massive games. So I don't know.
I'm the type of sicko who plays Schedule 1 because I want to see the numbers go up. You know what I mean? Somebody takes all my weed, or maybe the cops will bust down my door and do a raid, and then that'll be the extraction shooter moment for me. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. It looks like there was a date put on them. Sorry, I've just clicked away, but there's some date that they had. I think was it September or something, I think, like that. Does that sound a bit right?
Yeah, September.
September 23, 2025.
Okay, yeah, there you go. So it's coming. Oh Lord, it's coming. Check out the trailers. Definitely check out that cinematic thing. It's very, very cool. I've watched it twice now. I really like it. All right, that's all our games this week. Looks like we've got an email here as well, Frank Howley.
Yeah, if people want to send us an email, please write to us at podcast@noclip.video. We had this question in the Discord, and Jeremy actually did answer this already in the Discord, but I thought it was a really good discussion and might be worth sharing with more people. TX Moose wrote, and they said, last episode got me. I finally pulled Unity and Godot and started poking at them. I've been in the tech industry for over a decade, writing scripts and doing code-adjacent things that whole time. I know software isn't easy, but I am floored at how accessible Unity and Godot make it. They're talking about getting into game dev for the first time. Honestly, with professional experience I have from my career and the few YouTube, but my first game tutorials I've done now, I can absolutely believe that a single person could develop a whole game like Balatro, but I'm even more impressed with the accomplishment that I was before, and I was pretty floored to begin with. My question for the group, but probably specifically Jeremy Jane, is, for someone who until a few days ago thought they might not be that guy to create a game, do you have any game design books or resource recommendations? Just something to get into a good mindset from the get-go.
So I did respond to this in the Discord. I'm trying to think if I've got any. I'll read out the recommendations I gave to Texas Moose. I assume TX is Texas. Hold on, I'm digging it up. I know one of them is, here it is. The Art of Game Design, a Book of Lenses by Jesse Schell, Shell. This is probably my favorite game design book I've read. It sort of reminds me of like the Brian Eno oblique strategies cards. Do you know what I'm talking about? They're like Brian Eno put out a series of these cards that you pull, and they're supposed to inspire you. And they're like they're kind of like Zen koans. You pull a card, and it's like, think differently about a thing you've been thinking the same about. And you're like, oh, okay, fucking all right, Brian Eno. It's that, but it's more like it's theorizing. It's thinking about games through a series of these different like lenses. But it's basically just a pretty good nuts and bolts game design book. I also really enjoyed Challenges for Game Designers by Brenda Romero and Ian Schreiber.
Yeah.
This is a book that is like exercises. It's good to have a book about game design like this that invites you to step away from your computer to do some game design. This is very much like you'll read a chapter and then it'll be like, now get out a piece of paper and like come up with a game that uses 2 dice and like 7 checkers pieces or so. Like it's very nuts and bolts. And I think that, you know, often when you think about making video games, you're like, why would I ever get into like board game design or whatever? But thinking about game design in a way that gets you away from sort of the technical hurdles and you can kind of just draw out the rules is very useful. And then, and the third one I recommended was Theory of Fun for Game Design by Raf Koster. This is a really, really sort of like it's more like digestible sort of nuggets of game design, but its approach is much more sort of philosophical. It's Raf Koster coming off of Star Wars Galaxies being this sort of like game that some people loved and some people hated, and then it kind of fell off. There's an interesting story there, but Raf Koster then was sort of like investigating his own relationship to game design, and he was like, I knew that I was making games that were interesting, but in doing these sort of grand scale sandbox worlds like Star Wars Galaxies and Ultima Online, he felt like he'd lost touch with sort of how to just make like a fun game. Like the big picture was interesting, but he didn't know if he was making interesting little mini games anymore.
Right.
So he started making these tiny little games and wrote a book about like in just having a very sort of like internal heart to heart with himself about what makes a game fun and what's interesting about games and like why the fuck am I doing this in the first place. So yeah, those are the big 3 that I like the most. But yeah, ultimately I said this to them in the Discord too, but ultimately it's weird how I thought the technical hurdles to making games would be the hardest part, and then I like over the last several years have learned to code and make 3D art and do all these things and learn Unity and whatever. And the hardest part is just like game design. Like it's way harder than it's the hardest technical skill in the whole fucking coding is like easy compared to game design. So just explore a lot of different people's approaches to it, because all of them are different and a lot of them are like directly contradicting each other, which is interesting. It's game design itself is sort of this like games have been around forever, but game design as a codified theory is kind of like this weird sort of nebulous body of ideas that are different people have different approaches to it. So just get a lot of different perspectives.
Yeah, and a moving target as well, as we've talked so much even today just about how subgenres of subgenres become popular for a moment, and if you're working on something now, how do you know it'll be popular in the future? Like you don't, and something you're working on right now mightn't be popular at all now, but it might land at the right time. Among Us during COVID wouldn't have been as big a game probably if it had arrived at a different time. It's wild. Awesome. Sick recommendations, Jeremy. If you can stick those in the show notes maybe as well, that'd be awesome. Thank you. And thanks very much for the question. And apologies, it's a good thing you guys had a really long podcast last week, because I enjoyed it on my time in Sweden, because we can't do a particularly long this week because I have a medical issue that requires me to not be sitting down for long periods of time. I got a blood clot on the flight out to Sweden. Superficial vein thrombosis, not deep vein thrombosis, it was about a centimeter from my deep vein, which is the one that they don't want you having an embolism if the blood clot goes up to your lungs or whatever. But yeah, I slept on the flight out there. I didn't move my legs at all. I was kind of had them cramped in the seat in front of me. And then when I got out of the plane, I was like, ooh, there's a weird little kind of sore part to my muscle there. That's weird. And it didn't feel like a calf strain. And then I filmed a bunch of B-roll the next day, or that day on the Saturday. And, I went to bed that night. And then the next day I filmed B-roll. Yeah. And then that evening I was like, I could feel it even more. And I'm like, I should probably get this checked out. Long story short, I did. I got to take my pants off in front of an elderly Swedish nurse who didn't speak English and shouted at me and pointed at my trousers. which is a real sort of, you got to be, you're kind of rolling the dice there of like, does she want me to take my pants off or not? I don't know. I'm going to do it. We're going to see what happens. And then I was like, underpants? And she was like, blah, 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 blah. I don't know Swedish. So shout out to the Swedish healthcare system. They gave me some ultrasounds, found a blood clot in my leg, and told me not to take a flight for a couple of months. But I was like, I need to go home, guys. I don't live here. I'm going to go home in 4 days. I'm on blood thinners, which means I can't use power tools or go to the dentist for the next 2 months. But otherwise, I'm good. But it just means I can't be sitting around on my ass all the time. So I gotta like get up and go fucking hang out with the goats or go for a walk every hour or so. So hey, look, if you've been on an airplane flight, first of all, wear compression socks. That's the trick I didn't know about. If you're on a long haul flight, and if you are and you feel a little pain in your leg or anywhere, you can get them in your like shoulder and stuff. Go check it out. Go get it done. That's your PSA.
I'm hyper aware of my body. When someone's like tells you about an illness that you hadn't thought about. Now I'm like, do my legs hurt? Like,
new fear unlocked.
Freaking me out. Yeah.
That not a blood clot like that. That is terrifying. And I'm happy you're okay, Danny. Because my dad was so cardiovascular was his condition his whole life and was very conscious of it. But the last time I went to Japan, same thing. Or no, back in August was like I slept on the entire flight and like I had my shoes on tight and everything. And then when I got off, I was like ready to run around Akihabara, so I tied my shoes tighter. Like, my shoelace came undone. Walked around, and then the next like 3 days, I just had this throbbing muscle pain in my foot, and it was like, so yeah, having to like stand up on long flights, like the opposite. Wear my shoes very loose when I was walking around, but I had to learn the hard way. It was like, oh god, you can really screw yourself up on a long flight if you aren't careful.
Yeah, apparently people get them a lot and never know. Like that's apparently like you can get, and they're not big enough. Because what happens is the clot is in your vein, and then your vein expands so the blood flow continues, and that's what was pushing against my muscle. It was because it was a superficial vein, so it's one that's going into the muscle from your sort of main vein that goes up to your legs, your big ones. And it was really cool. You could see it on the ultrasound. They basically like found the spot, and then they found a vein on the ultrasound, and then they pushed down, and it closes like you're squeezing a rubber tube. But then if you did one and it didn't close, that was because there was a clot there. So you could see the one. It was really cool. The guy who was showing me was super interesting. Showed me how to do it. But it happened like the night like before our interviews there. So I was in the hospital till 1 a.m. and then I walked home and then had to get up at 7 and do interviews in the studio. We'll tell you who it is in the future, folks, but it's a studio in Sweden. So, actually there's a lot of studios in Sweden is what I've learned. They're fucking everywhere. It was, apparently it's not too crazy a thing, You can, they can be serious, but,
you describing like pressing the veins under the ultrasound, that's like one of the scariest things I've ever heard. I like to like completely forget that I have a physical organic body at all times of the day, and when someone calls attention to it, it's like, I don't know, it's like I'm driving a car that's about to break down, but I'm like, I'm just not thinking about it, and then someone's like, oh, your car's on fire. I'm like, oh fuck, I'm still in the meat suit.
Yeah, exactly. It's not nice to be reminded of all your guts and stuff. I told you this before. I when I was a young teenager witnessed a pretty horrific accident where a young kid who did survive, thankfully, opened up his femoral artery in front of us. And that was the most fucked up thing I've ever seen. And we were like holding him down and holding his leg together while the ambulance came. Sorry, guys. Sorry. So I saw that, and that was my moment of, oh, we're just sacks of meat, because that was the most sack of meat thing I'd ever seen. So that I don't have that since then. But sorry, I'm just upset.
Holy
everyone.
fuck!
Sorry.
No, it's all good. That's life, baby. That's what it's all about.
It was life. Yeah.
And yeah, Jesus.
It was just right there. Yeah, it was gnarly.
I feel like you in the Russian elevator. I feel like I'm leaving my body through the back door.
Fucking hell. So I'm glad to be all right. I'm glad. Shout out to everyone in Sweden who was very kind to me. One of the PR actually for the game we were there for had bizarrely had this happen to them about 3 months earlier, and they were kind of giving me the sort of what to do about it all. But Yeah, it's grand. Just wear socks. I don't know if compression socks, you get them in a pharmacy, but I don't know if having tight shoes might actually help. I don't know. The thing they were, I'm not a doctor. Do not take that. Maybe that's a bad thing to do. I don't know. But basically, the compression socks just make sure your blood pressure is slightly higher and keep your stuff together. I guess. Keep the blood flow going. Yeah, just do some stretches, do all that shit. So.
I'm suddenly reminded of the scary dude on my last flight to Boston that I told you guys about.
Oh, yeah. Remember that guy?
He was like, you got that bag. You should move it to the middle. I was like, no, I'm good. And he's like, I don't know, man. You don't want to stretch out? You got those long legs.
Jesus.
Dude, that guy was an angel in disguise. He was just looking out for me.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
The way you talk about him, though, he sounds like somebody from like the Mighty Boosh or something. Like a weird.
Yeah, he has sort of an old Greg character.
Yeah.
Except like way more
stretch
racist.
those long legs out.
Yeah, like a fucking Victorian Jack the Ripper type.
Exactly, yeah. But a racist.
Yeah. They wouldn't get away with that on a BBC
I heard
comedy.
what you said.
Still, I was so grateful when I took my most recent flight to Boston, and no one around me said anything overtly racist before we got off the ground. It was such a relief. Although it was funny that I didn't have time to eat that day because I was busy moving out of my house, and the guy next to me on the flight was fasting for Ramadan, and so we were both just starving to death next to each other on this flight. Right. And then he broke the fast with like some tea and cookies, and I was like, some of us are just like a little more devout, God just smiles upon some of us a little more because we fasted the whole flight.
I remember being on a flight with it wasn't Etihad, it was one of the Emirati, it must have been, maybe it was Emirates actually, airlines, and on the map screen they had the arrow towards Mecca.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So anyone who was doing their morning or evening prayers or whatever knew which direction to face. Isn't that amazing?
It's like an Ubisoft quest. It's like a quest marker.
Yeah, totally. It's just
That's
the GPS is turning. Yeah. I thought that was cool. I was like, oh, that's a very interesting, sort of wouldn't see that on a Western airline kind of situation. That was cool. All right, that's gonna be a podcast this week, folks. The Dwarf Fortress series should be done now. The final episode is going. I'm putting it up in like an hour. So we'll be done all 4 episodes of the Dwarf Fortress series. The last one's a real emotional roller coaster. So we hope people enjoy it. The Patreon show I'll be recording this week. I also filmed some behind the scenes in Sweden. It actually ended up being kind of hard to film behind the scenes in the studio because of the nature of the studio we were in. Had some active development going on, so it was hard to just shoot random shit. But you will get a lovely story about me going to the hospital, so that's in there. We got a bunch of other stuff coming down the pipeline as well. Next up will be the Disco Elysium stuff that myself and Jeremy have been tinkering away on for the past few months / filming for the past few years. I've done a bunch more interviews over the past couple of months as well, which has been terrific. So we're going to start getting that one out. It'll again be in a series format. A necessity of both these stories for sure because of the nature of them. So we're not just doing it to get patrons is basically my point. There are some docs that make sense that way, but there are others that aren't. Like Jeremy, you've worked on one we still haven't announced yet, which is a one-off as well. And we have a bunch of we have another series, a technical series on gaming, game design, which doesn't really require you to watch them in order or anything, but is also in a series just because of the nature of the production. So yeah, it's certainly helping, I think, split up the workflow and get some stuff out there. But yeah, there's a bit of a backlog at the moment. So between that and the stuff we filmed in Sweden, we've actually got quite a lot coming in the pipe. So yeah, thank you for your support. Head over to patreon.com/noclip and join up if you want to get access to. We have to do some bonus podcasts as well this month. I got to talk to you guys about that. We should talk maybe after this. Do some fun stuff. Yeah, that's that. Frank, enjoy your wrestle time. I wonder if you'll just stay in Vegas and just be a wrestler boy.
No, I'm very excited. But after that, then I have to plan the next Japan trip. Again, I'm lucking out this time because Japan's coming here. But then I still, yeah.
You're right. Japan is coming here.
There's so many. Oh, one really cool fact. This is so dumb. One of my favorite wrestlers, Ram Kai Chao. It was her birthday yesterday, and part of the idol culture in Japan I didn't know they really did this. Fans will get together, collect funds, and then buy out Subway ads for their favorite idols.
No.
So there's this wrestler named Ram Kai Chow, who her gimmick is she's the queen of Kabukicho. At Shinjuku Station on the Kabukicho exit, which is the Yakuza town, there's just this billboard of Ram Kai Chow that says "Happy Ram Kai Chow Day," and it's God. And she's like this little like devil wrestler girl, and it's like, oh my God, like I wish I was in Tokyo just to see the billboard ad, but she's gonna be in Las Vegas, so it's like, well, I'm gonna see her. I don't know, but if you miss Ram Kai Chow in Tokyo, you can go to Shinjuku Station and see it. But I was like, oh my God, it's so cool. So I don't know. We need that here. We need that.
That's genius. Yeah, Jeremy, right? Who would you pick if you had to pick? I'll come back to you, Frank, as well. If you had to pick anyone, an idol, somebody who you love, who would you put a billboard, and where would the billboard be as well? Maybe it could be.
I would. I'd put up a billboard pleading to Will Wright to abandon all ties to blockchain and to return to his sandbox game design roots. I would say this is what it would be.
Is this on the Berkeley Highway or something?
It'd be on the 80 right there.
So you know he'd see it?
East Bay, between where I would figure out roughly where he lives and roughly where he would grocery shop, and I'd put it smack dab in the middle, and it would have a picture on the left of young Will Wright and a picture on the right of contemporary Will Wright, and between the two, it would say, Will Wright, I can save you. That's what it would say. And then it would be my phone number, but it would be in a cipher where only he would know what the number was. It would be like a puzzle that only Will Wright could solve. Because
it's written in Simlish.
It would be written in Simlish. It would appeal to his game design sensibilities, where if it was just my phone number, I'd get a billion calls and Will Wright would ignore it. But if it was a puzzle only he could solve, he'd be like, something in him, he wouldn't be able to deny his inner game designer.
So to be like one of those like injury lawyer for motorcyclists, or like Sweet James or something, but instead of Sweet James, it has Will Wright, and you could have like a chain connecting the two of them, the two Will Wrights, and it's broken, and it's like break the chain, and block is cut out.
Unchain yourself.
Unchain, that's it. Unchain yourself.
It would say Will Wright Unchained, and it would have me dressed up as Django from Django Unchained.
And it has Jesus Christ, and it has Will Wright when he's young, but then Will Wrong is written on the.
I would say, well, step back, become right again, but it would be spelled like his name.
Yes, we have to. Somebody. Well, we should pay somebody to do this.
If graphic design is your passion,
exactly. Let's make it happen. Frank, who would you? What's your billboard and where's it going?
I mean, I guess like there's already the Ram Kai Chow one, but the other wrestler I really like her name is Utami Hayashishita. That's the girl who's in my like pinned profile post or everything. But I don't know Times Square. I don't know. No, America doesn't deserve. I don't know. Put it. I don't know. Actually, there's so many dumb but put it on the billboards on the way to Las Vegas. Rent out every single billboard and just put all the wrestlers like appearing at the Palms Resort this weekend. Maki Ito, Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
That I'm excited for, seeing all the crappy billboards on the way to Vegas, where it's like, we got the best lobster in the Mojave Desert.
Yeah. Ugh. Fresh lobster picked last week. Fuck. Actually, okay, I'm gonna go with the Mojave then, because you could do some like interesting, like Fallout New Vegas. You could have like a Mr. House, like billboard up there or something. Who's the best character in Fallout New Vegas? Is there any weird? You got all those weird little.
I always like Boone. That's the sniper guy who follows you around, who like is trying to get hurt. Yeah, he's just very funny.
He's a good one. Or what about? Isn't there like that little weird elf guy in Oblivion or something? like something like that, or or put up the. Yeah, maybe Josh Sawyer. We'll just put Josh Sawyer up there instead. Make it happen. I'm trying to think of like who an esoteric video game character is. Kind of like the Mighty Boosh, what's his name again? Old Greg.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like the what are you buying guy maybe, or something like that from Resi 4.
And this is to put on the billboard is what you're thinking?
Yeah. Okay. Something like that. No, I can't think of one. You guys came up with way better ones than me. Let us know in the comments who your billboard freak would be and where you put the billboard. And until next week, we will be back. Jesse will not be. It'll be us three again talking about some video games. Until then, have a great week. Bye.